The clock struck midnight, and the house was too quiet, save for the faint hum of fireflies outside the window. I sat cross-legged on the living room floor, a half-eaten bowl of popcorn beside me, babysitting for the Clarks while their 6-year-old, Mia, slept upstairs. Then the front door creaked open, and my heart stopped. I'm Julian Torres, 24, a graphic design student scraping by in the sleepy suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. Babysitting for the Clarks was my side hustle, easy money, predictable routine. Their cozy, 2-story home on Maple Street felt like a second skin, with its cluttered bookshelves and the faint scent of lavender from Mrs. Clark's candles. But tonight, the routine shattered. A man stepped into the dim glow of the living room, his silhouette tall and unfamiliar. "Who the hell are you?" I blurted, scrambling to my feet, clutching the TV remote like a weapon. He froze, hands raised, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His dark skin caught the light, and his eyes, sharp, warm, and a little amused, locked onto mine. "Easy, man. I'm Isaiah, Theo's brother," he said, voice low and smooth, like he was calming a spooked animal. Theo was Mr. Clark's name. I lowered the remote, pulse still racing. Isaiah Clark, 26, was nothing like his buttoned-up younger brother. Where Theo was all pressed shirts and predictable schedules, Isaiah was chaos. A faded leather jacket, short dreadlocks framing a face that carried stories I hadn't earned the right to hear yet. He wasn't supposed to be here. "You're not on the family roster," I said, folding my arms. "Theo didn't mention you." Isaiah smirked, dropping his bag by the couch. "Yeah, well, Theo doesn't mention a lot of things. I'm just passing through. Needed a place to crash." He glanced around, like the house was both home and foreign. "You're the babysitter, huh? Julian, right?" I nodded, thrown by how my name sounded in his mouth. Soft, deliberate. "Yeah. And you're what, the prodigal son?" He laughed, a sound that filled the room like music. "Something like that." He kicked off his boots and sank onto the couch, stretching out like he owned the place. "Don't worry. I'm not here to mess up your gig. Just need a night before I figure out my next move." I should have called Theo, should have verified this guy's story. But something in Isaiah's eyes, tired, searching, unguarded, made me pause. "Fine," I said, "but you're explaining this to your brother tomorrow." The night stretched on and we talked. Not small talk, real talk. Isaiah was a drifter, a poet who'd been chasing dreams across the country, from open mic nights in Chicago to street art scenes in Miami. I told him about my art, my late-night sketches, the way I poured my soul into designs no one ever saw. He listened like he cared, his gaze steady, unraveling me in ways I didn't expect. By 2 a.m., Mia was still asleep, and we were sprawled on the floor, sharing the popcorn. "You ever feel like you're running from something, but you don't know what?" Isaiah asked, staring at the ceiling. I swallowed hard. "All the time." He turned his head and our eyes met. The air shifted, heavy with something unspoken. My phone buzzed, Theo checking in. I ignored it. Morning light spilled through the Clark's kitchen windows, painting the room in gold. Mia was up, demanding pancakes, and Isaiah, to my surprise, was flipping them like a pro. "You're good with kids," I said, watching him tease Mia about her messy pigtails. "Used to help raise my cousins," he said, sliding a plate toward her. "You pick up tricks." His smile was easy, but there was a weight behind it, like he was carrying more than he let on. Theo called mid-morning, his voice clipped. "Julian, why's Isaiah there? He didn't tell me he was coming." "He just showed up?" I said, glancing at Isaiah, who was helping Mia color a picture of a dinosaur. "Seems harmless." "Harmless?" Theo scoffed. "He's trouble. Always has been. Keep an eye on him." Trouble. The words stuck with me as I watched Isaiah with Mia, his laughter bright but his eyes distant. After Mia's parents picked her up, I expected Isaiah to leave. He didn't. Mind if I stick around a bit? He asked, leaning against the porch railing. Need to clear my head before I move on. I should have said no. Instead, I said, sure. That afternoon, we walked through the neighborhood, the summer heat thick around us. Raleigh's suburbs were quiet, manicured lawns, kids on bikes, the hum of sprinklers. Isaiah told me about his life. The poetry slams, the odd jobs, the way he'd left home at 18 after a fight with his dad. He wanted me to be like Theo, suit, tie 9 to 5. I couldn't do it, he said. What happened? I asked, kicking a pebble down the sidewalk. Isaiah's jaw tightened. He found out I was bi. Didn't take it well. The confession hit me like a punch. I stopped walking, my own secrets clawing at my throat. My mom doesn't know I'm gay, I admitted, voice barely above a whisper. I've never told anyone here. Isaiah looked at me, not with pity, but with understanding. That's heavy, man, carrying that alone. We stood there, the world quiet except for the cicadas. His hand brushed mine, accidental but electric. I pulled away, heart pounding. I should get back, I mumbled. That night, Isaiah stayed again. We sat on the porch, the air thick with summer and something else. Tension, possibility. He read me one of his poems, his voice raw and unfiltered. Words about love and loss and running. I wanted to tell him everything. How I'd hidden who I was for years. How his presence made me feel seen. But I didn't. Not yet. Days turned into a week. Isaiah became a fixture at the Clarks' house, helping with Mia, fixing the leaky sink, leaving notes with scraps of poetry on the fridge. Theo wasn't thrilled, but he didn't kick him out. I started looking forward to my babysitting shifts, not for Mia, but for Isaiah. One night, after Mia was asleep, we sat on the living room floor, a half-empty pizza box between us. Why do you stay? I asked. You said you're passing through, but you're still here. Isaiah leaned back, hands behind his head. Maybe I found a reason to stick around. His eyes flicked to mine, and my stomach flipped. Don't mess with me, I said, half laughing, half terrified. I'm not. His voice was serious now, no trace of his usual smirk. Julian, you're different. You see me. Not the screw-up, not the drifter. Just me. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But fear had its claws in me. You don't know me, I said. You don't know what it's like to hide every day, to pretend you're someone you're not. Then tell me, he said, leaning closer. Let me in. I told him. About growing up in a strict household. About the church sermons that called people like me sinners. About the sketches I drew of men I could never touch. He listened, his hand resting on mine, grounding me. When I finished, he didn't say anything, just pulled me into a hug. His warmth, his scent, his heartbeat against mine. It was too much and not enough. I'm scared, I whispered. Me too, he said. That night, we fell asleep on the couch, his arm around me. It was the first time I'd felt safe in years. But safety, I learned, doesn't last. Theo showed up the next morning, unannounced. He saw us, curled up together, my head on Isaiah's chest. His face twisted with something I couldn't read. Isaiah, we need to talk. Now. Theo's voice was ice as he pulled Isaiah into the kitchen. I stayed in the living room, heart hammering, pretending to tidy up Mia's toys. Their voices carried low, tense, then loud. You can't keep doing this, Theo snapped. Showing up, causing chaos, then leaving everyone to clean up your mess. I'm not your kid brother anymore, Isaiah shot back. I'm trying to figure things out, same as you. Figure things out somewhere else, Theo said. And leave Julian out of it. He's a good kid, not one of your flings. I froze, toy truck in hand. A fling. Was that what Theo thought? Was that what I was to Isaiah? When Isaiah came back, his face was stormy. I'm heading out tomorrow, he said, not meeting my eyes. Theo's right. I don't belong here. What? I stood, anger flaring. You're just gonna run again? It's what I do, Julian. His voice cracked. I'm not good for you. You've got a life here, school, a future. I'm just me. That's enough, I said, stepping closer. You're enough. He shook his head, but I grabbed his hand, pulling him outside to the porch. The night was warm, fireflies dancing. Don't do this, I said. Don't leave because Theo thinks you're trouble. Stay. For me. Isaiah's eyes searched mine, raw and vulnerable. You don't know what you're asking. Then show me, I said, and before I could overthink it, I kissed him. It was desperate, messy, real. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer, and for a moment, the world was just us. But then headlights cut through the dark, Theo's car, back again. Theo didn't say a word about the kiss, but his silence was louder than any lecture. He told Isaiah to be gone by morning. I wanted to scream, to fight, but Isaiah just nodded, like he'd expected it. That night, we sat on the porch again, the air heavy with goodbye. Come with me, Isaiah said suddenly. We could go anywhere, New York, LA, wherever. Just you and me. I laughed, bitter. And leave everything? My degree, my life. You're not living, Julian, he said softly. You're hiding. His words cut deep because they were true. I'd spent years building a cage around myself, calling it safety. But Isaiah, he was freedom, messy and terrifying. I can't, I said, throat tight. Not yet. He nodded like he'd known my answer. Then find me when you're ready. He scribbled an address on a scrap of paper. A friend's place in Chicago. I'll be there. The next morning, he was gone. The house felt empty, like it had lost its heartbeat. I went back to my routine, babysitting, classes, sketching. But Isaiah's absence was a wound. I drew him over and over, his smile, his eyes, the way he'd made me feel alive. Months passed. I graduated. I came out to my mom, bracing for the worst. She cried, but she hugged me, said she loved me. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. One day, I found the scrap of paper with Isaiah's address. I booked a bus ticket to Chicago. When I knocked on the door of a cramped apartment, he answered, looking the same but different, steadier, like he'd found a piece of himself. Julian. His voice was a mix of shock and hope. I'm ready, I said. We didn't know what came next, where we'd go, how we'd make it work. But as he pulled me into his arms, the future felt less like a cage and more like a horizon. Love, I realized, wasn't about being fearless. It was about choosing to be brave.